Hi, Professor. My name is Christian, and we here at Dapper Space Bunnies are creating a game called Crabpocalypse. As we're in class, we wanted to call it Maximum Overdrive, but you said that there was copyright issues, and we didn't know this beforehand, so we decided to change it to Crabpocalypse. We both really like the name. It may change in the future, but at the moment we both really like it. So here's our design document. I'm going to go over a lot of the mechanics real quick, or the more important ones, and then my partner Tony is going to go over the story elements in a minute. Okay, so our game is a platformer, turn-based RPG hybrid type thing. It's very weird, I guess. So in the platforming part, it's just a normal platformer. You run, you jump. There are obstacles in the way. There are enemies in the way. Just normal stuff. But if you touch an enemy in our game, you go into this turn-based combat thing. So in this thing, there's a timer at the top, and once your time runs out, then you can do whatever you want again. So you do something, you have a timer, and then once your timer's gone, you can do something again. Yeah, that's basically how it's gonna work. And then the main mechanic of our game is this thing called Maximum Overdrive. It's basically the player's superpower, pretty much. So when you use it, you move a lot faster, you jump a lot higher, you hit a lot harder. You can use it in both the platforming and the turn-based sections. In both, you'll be able to do stuff faster. Like in the turn-based section, the timer is going to be a lot. You're going to be able to do stuff more often because the timer is going to be a lot shorter. And in the platforming section, you can jump higher, move faster, stuff like that. Also in the platforming section, if you use Maximum Overdrive, you can potentially one-shot the enemies. Also, whoop. Scroll back down. So now we're gonna skip ahead a little bit. There are gonna be abilities that the player can get, like a dash ability and a barrier. There's gonna be an inventory system that the player has to use, like health items or healing items, stuff like that. There's gonna be a skill tree that, as the player levels up, they get new skills, new abilities. They get more powerful as they kill enemies. Here's some of the AI. Yeah. Okay. Here's our timeline. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. I'll just show you our game real quick, and then I'll talk about the timeline. Okay, so here is the part that I've been working on. This is the platforming part. As you can see, you can move, you can jump, yeah. And if I press E, I go into Maximum Overdrive. So you have a little transformation animation. You move a lot faster, you jump a lot higher, and as you can see in the bottom left, the bar is constantly going down. If I press E again, it stops. Yeah, and I move a lot slower and everything. Yeah, so now that I've shown you that, I'm going to show you a little bit of the code real quick that I did. Okay, so here's the player movement. It's just normal movement stuff. Something I do want to talk about real quick, actually, is the way I made the jumping. So usually whenever I make jumping stuff, it always feels really floaty. So what I decided to do, and something that I learned from some online tutorials, was that as the player's falling, if you give the gravity a multiplier, it makes them fall faster, and it makes it feel a lot more smooth. A lot of games like Mario does this, where going up you go normal rate, but as you come down you go down a lot faster than you would going up. It makes it feel a lot less floaty. It feels really nice. It's just something you have to play with. Yeah. Here is the stats thing that I made. It's just like the normal like resource management stuff. Yeah. And the camera here, what it does is it looks slightly farther ahead of the player, just so they can see where they're going. It does the same thing on the right and left side. We can obviously change these values if we don't like them later. Yeah. So now I'm done talking about that. I'm going to go back to the design documents and finish off. But yeah, okay. So here's our timeline. What we've done so far is we've done pretty much the first three. We got our design document, we got the pitch, we got everything, all that stuff done. We're starting on the movement and the resource system and the turn-based stuff. Movement's pretty much done. The resource system is pretty much done. Turn-based stuff we still got to work on. But then after that, we're going to go on to the inventory system. I think that's it for what I was going to talk about. So I'm going to pass it off to my partner, Tony. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Tony McGowan, and I'm the second half of the Dapper Space Bunnies. Now, for the last couple weeks, aside from the game design document, I've been focusing mainly on asset gathering, animations, and the turn-based side of our game. You'll also see right here that we renamed our game to Crabpocalypse from Maximum Overdrive, because, copyright. Now, before we get into the gameplay, I want to just gloss over some story details from our document. Now, the story hasn't changed all too much from our initial pitch. It's still crabs waging war against humanity. It's still 2020. It's still sort of poking fun at and bringing to light COVID. And essentially just it's meant to be a very lighthearted, very meme-filled, very fast-paced adventure. Now, moving on, we have our protagonist, Max, who is a college student who has built a robotic suit that is fueled on the lipids in his body. So as long as he goes around killing crabs and eating their crab meat, then he can keep going. And he likes robots and crab meat, so it's a win-win for him. You will be meeting some other humans on your journey who will be scattered throughout levels in hard-to-reach locations. If you can find them, then they'll usually give you items, abilities, that kind of thing. They'll also be running shops, but you won't see too much of that yet. Moving on to the crab sides of things, you'll see that we have a few notable figures here, but for now, let's just focus on the one you're probably going to be seeing this semester, which is Captain Claudius. So he is one of the 3 generals of the crab army, and he's the lowest ranking of the 3. He's fat, he's lazy, and he hates humans, but he loves sandwiches, so that's the one redeeming factor that he's found in the human race. Again, so the 3 generals will be your bosses, but you're probably only going to see him. Alright, now onto the fun stuff. So see here that I've pulled up the turn-based scene that I've been working on, and the sprites you see are just placeholder ones for now from existing games. In this case being Mega Man X and Sonic Advance, but we'll get around to replacing those later. Now you'll see here at the top that all battles occur on a timeline, so right now it's our character's turn. If we hit attack, we can choose who we select as our target. And then once we reach the end of the timeline, we'll run up and perform that attack. Now, normally, once those crabs in the timeline reach the end of the timeline as well, they would attack. I haven't gotten around to doing that part yet. But now another option you can pick is guarding, which you'll see as an instant cast time, because it just puts you right back at the start instantly, and you travel down the timeline twice as fast. And what you see I just did there was activate Maximum Overdrive. What that does is it doubles the speed of your regular movement on the timeline, as well as increasing your attack and defense, which aren't actually visible yet. And it also increases your cast time by not quite as much as double, but by a small figure. You're free to switch back and forth between the 2 modes at any time, and it only drains the meter when the timeline is in motion. Like when it's on your turn, it won't drain anything. Well, that's just about all we've got so far, so thanks for listening.